So I had a number of conversations about MyApps, the portal the ARB has been using to review incoming apps, and I thought it would make sense to see which of the bugs that were filed are most important and would help us speed up the process most, and if there's other things you've encountered which would be good to resolve.
Yeah.
I added the link to the open bug reports that take with ARB.
And when you compare them to the number of fixes released, done pretty well. Thank you for getting a number of fixes in recently.
Yeah.
Helped a lot.
Yeah, that was a conversation with Andrew Richard.
Yeah.
I'm glad to meet you first. When we're kind of aware of what the major pain points are, it's easy to kind of prioritize.
Yeah. I think it was just a miscommunication before then was to contact each other and stuff. So no, it's good to have the lists of needs information, because we have a lot of applications that they would resubmit something but they won't click resubmit.
So what's still a bit tricky to do, I understand, is to be quickly aware of which apps are kind of waiting for feedback.
Yeah.
Like now, there's a bunch of apps that needs information, but that have a comment, so you need to go in and click on each and
Yeah.
There is a bug in progress. It is to make all applications switch to a pending review state and the developer comments on them. That is kind of going against in one sense, and different bug that we fixed.
Yeah.
At another point, it was to allow bugs to be, comments to be submitted without changing the state. But after that talk with you, I realized that actually what we want isn't it not to change state, but only to kind of change the communication to the developer. If they only want to post a comment, they feel like resubmitting the app isn't what they want to do. Actually, they still wanted to change state, they just want to submit a comment.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen in the future. At that point, and once we push all the ones from needs information back into the pending review queue, it should be much more immediate to notice what's waiting for a response. Basically, everything that's in the pending review queue is waiting for a response.
Yes.
That is the single bug that's in progress. Is that
Just in re-looking at the list of applications and needs information now, I could just think of a bug that I should file that would be useful. Just in terms of you added the last updated by and last comment there. Being able to see just at a glance whether it's like a developer, the person submitting the app or
a
reviewer. By putting the name in bold like that.
Right. So if it was a review, should it be in the pending review state? Should it be in needs information? I mean, the user needs in the pending review should always have a last comment by the developer. I understand.
And just looking at down the needs information here, we've got thanks for your submission as one of the ARB that is asking for information there.
So the most recent comment wasn't a response from the developer, it was the original request.
I don't know if that matters so much if you're going to be changing the state. But,
so make that visually distinguishable.
Just so I can note this down, make it easy to see if the last comment changed the status, or
we're making it who put in the last comment on that on an application, whether it was a reviewer or the original app submitter.
Is that not already available though?
Just in terms of this sort of list here, you can see the name. being able to distinguish
Right.
between.
So yeah, John Q is another one that appears in several places, and he's
Yeah.
a commercial reviewer that's basically moving apps over to the ARB
Yeah,
queue and
yeah.
commenting on that.
Yeah.
And he's even done some initial triage for us. So sometimes
Right.
you'll see a few rounds of comments from John Pugh, and then it comes over to our queue.
So he's
Right.
part of the ARB helpers team.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Did we have a bug open about ARB helpers being able to comment on?
I can't remember already.
I can't remember what it was that you.
If you could click on that link that's in the pad,
Yeah, I'm just looking, going back to search.
I think I did put in a permissions for helpers, but I think that was one of the ones that they did last week.
Oh, yeah.
Permissions for non-voting reviewers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So does MyApps already have support for an ARB helper kind of team?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're just checking that now.
I talked
I mean,
to.
when we initially discussed it on the mailing list, I created the launchpad team for
Yeah.
people.
Ubuntu ARB contributors. Is that
Yeah,
the
that's the
launchpad
one,
team? Ah,
yeah.
Yes. They, in the site are also ARB reviewers. They can change state
Okay.
for apps in the queue. Members of the Ubuntu ARB contributors launchpad team will be signed into MyApps as ARB reviewers.
And do they have different permissions?
That's it. As for MyApps, it's indistinguishable what they can do.
Okay.
Should they have a reduced set of abilities? I mean,
I mean,
what shouldn't they be?
the actual publishing is done by us
Right.
plugging to a
and
PPA. So
That's outside of MyApps.
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know whether it's necessary to.
I can't think of anything right now that they shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
probably just give you more work for nothing to add the restrictions.
Yes, I mean,
Unless we go.
what David asked for us was really easy. We just mapped another launchpad team so to the same Django group. If we want two separate Django groups, that yes, a bit of work. We need to separate out which view wants to allow access, which group. We need to go through the whole list of views and see what wants access to.
I'm guessing the main thing we need to sort out in terms of workflow that we've been talking about this week is whether still to require PPAs, whether we're going to have people submitting running packages locally, or whether it's going to be done on MyApps. There's been restrictions there as to not being able to run packaging on MyApps for Python. So, yeah.
You don't need a solution for that kind of thing. If
Yeah.
we wanted to run it server side, we can do both. If we wanted to run it server side, if it's Python, whatever you run, that would work.
Yeah.
For the solution I just had today with the extras.json file, that would not require running setup.py. So that one we could potentially just enable that one on the server side.
Yeah.
That can help.
But if it was doing it like with router and expecting to work with Python, then
Well,
we'll run it. But
I think what we would do for that is not actually run the setup.py because setup.pys are usually not for installation opt, but we might do something of looking for particular strings within setup.py.
would you prefer?
So we'll probably end up changing that bug, because we suggested what was it, app submission through PPA, and changing the UI for people submitting that.
Well, so it could still require a UI change. My solution for now for getting packaging to do ARB apps is, I've talked to James about this, we create an extras.json file, and if a tarball is submitted with that extras.json file, then package me can just package it up and set up the UI. James said they already have a solution where MyApps could actually have a web interface. So instead of adding that JSON and then extras JSON file.
Could have a web interface.
Yeah, MyApps
MyApps?
could have a, the way they're doing the MyApps integration to package.me.
Right.
They could have a web form within MyApps that collects the information they need, and use that for telling package.me to run it for extras.
Well,
But
the,
who would submit that information? The
Developer.
developer?
the information that you had in the example file you started on was
It's name, email.
already gathered by MyApps, so it will in fact already be on disk as with a different name, but as a JSON file. So we're already looking for that. So if you get what you need out of what you have there, then we can very easily make this done.
That doesn't give us the, so part of the trick for the extras.json file was to tell package.me, to give basically a flag for package.me to say, oh, this is an extras package. So if we're getting that information from the MyApps interface, then we don't necessarily know.
But MyApps can say this is an ARB or not, this is a package.
You guys can work on it.
So that's a relatively recent change, that MyApps assumes that all ARB apps are going into extras. And before we weren't sure if they're going to go into a public PPA or staging PPA for ARB. So now that we know it, well, assuming that in the foreseeable future ARB apps are going into extras, we can assume that and packaging can too.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, that as well. So.
And you know, if it fails,
we've already done the work.
then that's no big deal. That's the same situation we have now of, oh, quick automatically package, so go back and do something else. So that goes back to the, should we cancel the bug request for PPA links in ARB submissions?
Right, is that in the list of?
I think it would still be nice to have an option. I mean, people, if they've packaged it themselves already, as a number of people have,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to run package.me to guess at things if it's done well.
Right. So this is something that we looked at one on another time.
Yeah.
It would be attractive to allow a developer to upload his code, not only for ARB apps. It would be nice to be able to push your code up to Git branch or some other hosting service, and then point us at that via URL. If we could figure out a way to make that work for PPAs too, if it's a link to a PPA, we do the right thing. If it's a link to some other Git branch, we can make it work with different backends. That would enable integration with different things. It would also solve the issue of developers not being able to upload 1 gigabyte tables and
Yeah.
oil rush. I don't know.
So you'd basically just be pulling in, I imagine for pulling in a branch, you'd want to get a tag, something
Right.
for.
So the downside of that is that the user interface wouldn't be a drop down with your PPAs that we could check
Yeah.
server side and populate that with the PPAs for the current start and use. So it would be a matter of you have to copy paste the link to your PPA and stuff like that. But it's something that would enable different solutions besides PPA. Which I don't know. Would it be attractive to you to be able to submit a PPA even without this user interface, or would you like us to look at different form fields, have a PPA, have a link?
So before we had the possibility for automatic packaging, we would have had a different answer. I don't, so I would say having an option of, like right now it requires you to upload something. So it's making it somehow either upload something or provide a link. And I don't care if that link is a PPA or a Git repository or whatever, but make it, so it requires one or the other of those two.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, if the user wants to post it on his own server and point it at the code. I guess for commercial apps, it's a bit of more manual process. It would be great if we could restrict that to only PPAs for ARB submissions.
Yeah. It'd be great if it's a PPA to be able to, because they still need the package name.
Right. I mean, if at some point we want to restrict that to the PPA, we could look at the URL and see if it looks like a PPA. I mean, it's quite easy to tell.
So what is the outcome just for the benefit of the nodes? Would you prefer to be only PPA or just would we have with a link?
Sorry?
Either one of them.
Right. Give us something in English.
Yeah.
I mean,
Give us a package somehow.
right. The two small advantages is that if they can enter a link, they can have a PPA that's not created by the user that submitted the app. So if you work for a company that has its own set of PPAs and you log in with your user, there might be a mismatch there and you won't find the PPA in the drop-down menu. Find it.
We actually have that already. The lenses and scopes go to a generic PPA that is not owned by the developer. It's owned by the team.
Right.
Weird.
So that would work if you had a drop-down, and we wouldn't have to go to the Launchpad server side in that request to populate that drop-down that's making all our stuff slow.
Yeah.
What would the commercial side use the PPA link or the link field?
Right. I don't think commercial
Would you use it
software.
at all?
I mean, I don't think so. That would mean it's maybe for premium kind of software, like I don't know, apps that are going to be free as in beer. I might just push up the code into a PPA and let you download it because
Could have a private PPA?
No.
Yeah.
No, to get a private PBA, you have to buy a Launchpad account.
Yeah.
Which is not something we want to impose on someone who's just uploading an app, right?
Yeah, well,
yeah,
saying
besides
that
it's not imposing it, it doesn't
possibility,
happen
but-
very often. I mean, it's much more likely that just by some private branch somewhere.
Yeah.
But I have had a few commercial developers like just sort of try to upload and fail, sort of post a link in the comments
Yeah.
or email me. Or
that's currently what happens with PPAs for the ARB
Yeah.
stuff is they just get put in the comments.
Right. And so if you can provide a link field, and
Right. So what happens now if they really want to submit a PPA, they upload a README file that says my code is in such a PPA more or less.
Right. So-
Right.
So my proposal a while back on one of the bugs I think was to have for commercial apps like a radio button that says, you know, I will just supply the binary for canonical to package, or I have created my own package, and then when you click that, it gives you have to upload the DSC and the target you released. And that way you don't get people uploading debs because it doesn't sort of fit in the box, right? And so I think just that part there would actually cut down a lot of crap. Now making sure that we can actually upload a gigabyte is another part of that. But
Filtering helps.
Yeah.
For whatever ways we can reject stuff that we're going to have to go in and manually review and reject. It's
just by being a nudge, like, oh, I need the DSC. Oh, okay. And then, you know,
Even a .deb is almost fine because package me understands it as a
binary blob. Yeah. like-
and it can
but
turn it into a source package.
in some cases, right, people have good source packages that are generating good debs, and we would rather have the source package. In other cases, they're making the deb with some tool that doesn't even create DSC or whatever. Right? But so I would like to cut down on the number of times where I have to ask them, you know, like, oh, do you have the source? Like, could I just reuse that? I will say there was only, I'm not doing it at the moment, but I spent a few weeks packaging these commercial apps. There was only one out of, I think, like 60 or something that I might have done that was just good, right? It was a, you know, deb source with you know, installed in the opt, had the rights, is compliant in every way, and was, you know, a usable package, and all I had to do was sign it and upload it. 1 out of 60, right? So,
Sounds about right.
yeah. So, yes, I believe in tools like PackageMe, but I also believe in just sort of, we're going to be using it 59 out of 60 times, right? So,
Would you guys, on the commercial side, use links for anything else? Like the link field?
The downside of a link field is that it probably will prevent packaging from doing thing.
Because it can't
It
get
doesn't have the
tarball.
source immediately available.
So with that, I would say let's at least do a really stupid check and make sure that whatever they paste in that field is either PPA for now, since that's all we accept, or and maybe later we could say check and see if it has the Git beginning. If we get to the point where we can accept that, or check if it has it. Yeah, because the URL string has the identifiers that we can use, and we don't have to go out and check that it really is a real PPA, but just that little bit of, are you sure you submitted a link to a PPA? Is really helpful.
Yes, a bit of a tendency discussion about what we want to allow developers to submit there.
Seeing it coming for the commercial.
Would someone react for adding a comment to? I think we could use the same button that we've got already. So basically adding a comment in there.
So that is something, I've definitely thought, especially because I had to package some updates. I'm like, I could teach them how to do this very quickly. In a sense, the canonical package source is already available. People just don't know how to get to it. You just sort of buy your own app and app get the source, right? And that's all I had, right? And so letting commercial developers know that that's possible and is in fact a thing.
So when you buy your app, does that source PPI get added to your sources list automatically, or do you just have to?
I guess we only add the binary PPA, but the source PPA is available to you if you have access to that private PPA. So, the source packages are not interesting. In fact, this is unintuitive to commercial developers. There was at least one case where someone submitted source code, and if I had it, I could build it like a normal package, and it was great. But I had to tell them that if I put this in the archive, it's possible someone could get your source code, right? And he's like, okay, build it twice, and use the binaries the second time.
Okay.
That sort of thing, we could communicate better. Right. But at the same time, right, that we don't really solve that problem. Like maybe he wants to build it in Ubuntu because it would be very easy to forward port to future versions by just giving us the source code and then letting us hide it. Right?
I'm not sure if that's what the question refers to. It's trying to say canonical effort to the updates.
Yes. So right now, like if they give a binary blob or whatever, right, I had to repack it, put the packaging layer around it and then push it out. And then an update would often consist of another binary blob. If the binary blob was just a file, it's very easy to make a new package. If the binary blob was a deb package, I'd have to burn it back down and rebuild it again, right? And depending on how much detail went into the packaging and how many manual workarounds I had to add, it might be incredibly complex. So.
Right, so this thing that ARB developers have access to the app when it's in the QA pending state also applies to commercial applications. They can download the app from Software Center even before it's published, their own apps. But it still involves purchasing the app, so they might not want to have to purchase their own app to get the package.
Right.
It might make sense to send them somehow a version of the package.
Right, well, and at the same time, right, like if we want them to be able to update their own packages.
Right. Yeah, the update story is also needing improvement for all the developers. I mean, it's not clear for everybody how to submit an update for your application.
Right.
And the fact that you need to go in and edit the upload package. You probably need a more visible link.
Right, and whether, if it's a developer who wants to push out weekly updates or something, because we believe them, right, like they should be able to upload to that PPA. We don't really tell them that. We don't really have any page explaining that this is something you could do, right? We'll do the hard part of the packaging. All you got to do is replace the files and implement
You
the
mean for
version.
commercial apps?
For commercial apps.
Yeah, we can't really
That's
do
the
that.
thing, we can't give commercial developers permission to upload arbitrary code into a private PKA that then we eventually let users download. I mean, they could remove the app from the PKA, they could
Okay.
upload any clearly.
You could at least streamline the review process by telling them, by letting them submit the updated package for update rather than the updated binaries.
If they submit the update.
So like, okay, you don't want them, you said you don't want commercial developers to push to the live user download
So the
PPA.
private PKA that you
But if you
consider
gave them another private PPA that they could upload a new version to, like a
Yeah.
review PPA.
Right.
So
Yeah, we need to be private because they don't want to make
Right.
upload to public PKA. That could be an
right, what we had is this, almost like if they could upload this to a staging PPA, but we don't want, like a unique staging PPA for them.
Yep.
In which case you may, that's when you may find that having a link on the UI, or something you can put that in.
And then you could put that link into the UI. Yes.
I mean, for downloading the package, it does make sense. I mean, it wouldn't even need to come from a PPA, just give them a link to a package. But for uploading, if you want to upload updates to the app, then you say we need a PPA.
Right, I mean, the story I'm imagining here is someone comes to App Store with the first version of an app, ticks the box that I want Canonical to package it, uploads a binary or provides a link to a binary, and I or someone else packages it, and then we create the PPA with the user PPA, and then we create a second PPA that's a staging PPA. We give them instructions, hey, if you want to try rolling your own update, you can download the source package this way, and you can push it to this PPA using this command. You change binary files, you can put the version number, etc. And then if you want that update to go live, just go back to MyApps and say updates, and then paste that PPA there.
Paste the link.
That's
We
sort
have a
of-
link. We have a link for you.
That sort of way for updating things can be done for the ARB as well. But,
Right.
yeah, like providing, if it, fixing up the packaging for them, we generally push it into a branch and provide it for them. They can have it in their PPA and just resubmit. And, like especially going from one release to another if they're going to be carrying it forward.
So we've kind of gotten into commercial
Yeah,
apps.
sorry. Happens when I come
Well, I mean, that would be a useful feature for the ARB.
Yes.
Yeah, just well,
I mean, the ARB,
bring it back there.
right, if the developer can push his code up to his own PPA,
Yeah.
from personal PPA, there's nothing on the server side that we need to
Yeah,
do.
you don't need
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Just putting in the link is fine.
Package mesh going to be used the first time, but when they're using updates, yeah, they want
Right.
to update something there.
Well,
Can use what we want.
I mean, I think the plan is to make package me handle updates in a graceful manner. It isn't like packaging from scratch, but
Right.
I mean,
we might ease that.
if there was any manual stuff done after package me
Right.
ran, then
So when you say handling updates, would it take the source package and
The thought was always that you just run it again, you
Okay.
present this the first time again. So it doesn't work too well if it required modification, but that's why we were thinking about overrides and things, but
One possibility is that package me could somehow save the extras.json file, and whatever it determines running the first time, we save that, and then those are the hints that you feed into the next.
That was on the spec at some point. The code to package me could send in a dictionary with override. There's an argument got wrong at some point.
that argument's still there.
That's still it.
Yeah, we dropped the other API code.
So there was a few bugs that we put in before specifically to talk about here. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on them, but I just kind of curious. So there's one, I put it up on the screen. I had a case where there was an app, the developer submitted a change and had a pending I had to go in and review it. It had a comment field there where I responded and rejected the update. But that never appeared on the feedback page. So it was like, it wasn't logged in the history of, and I don't know, maybe that was a transient state and it was a bug that was fixed later, but I'm just.
So generally comments should appear always whatever transition you put.
So it wasn't a comment that he entered on the feedback page.
It was a
comment
note.
that, yeah, it was a comment that I added not on the reviewer page, but on the, when you have a pending update page, it was a comment field on that, on the pending update review.
So when you go to resubmit the app, you have a comment field at the bottom.
When they resubmit the app,
Right.
and there's a pending update, there's a comment field there, and that wasn't logged. I would have
You need
to walk
check.
through.
It could be a bug. It could be a bug.
Yeah, well, mostly I put in a generic bug because it's this.
Right.
I've seen some cases where we've taken an action or there's been some sort of automated process in the background and,
Mhm.
you know, it doesn't seem like it's logged. So we're not really, when you go back and look at an app after it's been in the process for a month and maybe there's been a few different people working on it, some bits and pieces that have happened to it are dropped.
Right.
So kind of
You
just
should have-
maybe do a review
Right.
and see what is being logged and what isn't.
The kind of two models that relate to these things, one is the application change requests that have comments on it. That's what's currently being shown in the feedback and it should be always displayed. That
Those
al-
are, yeah.
Always, yeah, that includes comments, submitted notes and the feedback you provide, those are all on that model. The other one is a single transition log, so when the app is first submitted or when it's sent back to the needs information state, the state transitions don't have a comment, but we could add those to give a more clear picture of how the app travels.
That would be useful. I mean, something like the activity page on like Launchpad, but
Right,
sort of thing,
that,
you see the thing change.
those don't even have a user associated, so it doesn't say Alison's mark this submitted. But it does say it has a timestamp and the transitions change.
That right there would
So that would
really
probably
help.
give us a
Yeah.
clearer picture. But yeah, this bug is about raising that topic.
Yeah, so it wasn't a specific detailed feature request, it was more
Yeah.
along the lines of,
Sure, we're not losing anything? Yeah, I'd be concerned about that.
yeah.
I wasn't aware that we were. Sure.
Let's see, so the next one was queue sorting, and I heard from someone that you did have some plans for doing, like, options.
Right. I think it's Michael submitted change that somewhere that changes that to what it has now. That's sorted by, I think, Daniel, you were sitting next to Michael when he coded that.
I don't think it was sorting.
But changing the default sort order in the review queue.
I thought it changed to basically the order that it was submitted.
Right, that's what we have now.
Yeah.
And that's actually not as useful as the date of the most recent
Yeah.
comment on the app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be useful to have both to see what's been waiting a long time to get in versus
Yeah.
what been waiting a while to get a comment
Right.
for.
So since column at this moment shows the date of the initial submission, and it should show the date of the last date.
That would be, yeah, that would be a more useful default.
Yeah. At some point we discussed allowing you to resort this list using JavaScript. That would be a bit more work. I mean, we've not seen enough demand for it, but I don't know, it's something that it wouldn't be all that much work either. We recently added YUI to MyApps. Until a couple of months ago, we didn't have any JavaScript framework in place, so it was a bit more work. Now we already have YUI, and that for the screenshot widget animation. So we could just use that there.
Between the two, I would say getting a more sensible default sort
Just
is
a-
the higher priority, and
The default works,
the other could
right.
be optional addition later.
Yeah.
If you switch that display to a YUI interface anyway, then
Right. It's also it's sort of a matter of if you find you have two defaults that you'd like in different situations, let us know. It's a matter of always switching to the sort you order to use, then we just make that default, leave it.
So would we just say that would be the best default ordering? Was it date of last comment or?
Date of last comment.
Okay, I'll note that down in the bug report.
or most recent action, if
Most
we
recent
determine there's some kind of action that doesn't
Yeah.
get a comment.
Right.
And that one, the non-rote voting reviewers, we decided is actually already set up, which is
Yep,
wonderful.
that's great. Mail, the feedback mail is not included linked to submission. Is one that would be nice to, when you're getting,
Right.
you're seeing stuff on the mailing list, and just be able to go to directly to the application.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Notification emails or wanting an update, I mean, they're a bit lacking in copy and layout, and we're missing this link, but
yeah.
we have a pending review of the email and so I have an action item to prioritize these, confirm them all or not too much duplicate. I think there's a couple that ask for the apps to order back into the pending review, but get these into the queue for being coded. Doesn't seem like you're asking for anything utterly automatic. Very reasonable request.
I hope so.
And if you were to assign priorities to the bug reports, what do you think would be most important to you?
Just check the one again.
Just trying to decide about the application stage or the or getting notified of feedback.
Okay.
Those there.
By application state, do you mean the sorting?
No, I mean the one that we were working on now. I mean that, yeah, about changing the state from
Right.
information.
That's
But
987 and 96.
yeah,
The one in blue on the right.
because you're saying it's already been worked on and it's in fixed committed. Was it?
Oh, has it?
Was it?
I've been away for a few days.
Well, no, it's still in progress. Sorry.
Right, but there's a merged branch.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can see a branch there. I can't see
Right.
any sort of state.
Yep.
Or maybe it's just
Yeah, it's merged.
Okay.
So, right, our next really simple changes to the reports we send to finance, and quite a bunch of commitments for that already. So I'd say be not this coming release, but we'll start getting these cards pushed forward.
I'd say 97553 is quite severe.
Sorry, which one?
The one that you don't get notified when developers.
Yeah, that's one
feedback.
about feedback.
Is that email notifications that's missing?
Yeah, any kind of notification, but I guess email is the.
When we have a
would be
few
the most
apps on the
efficient.
list and when it's not being sorted by last comment date, and that's sort of, it's easy to miss if something's been,
Right.
it's feedback or
But
something.
it should be sending notifications to the ARB mailing list, the ARB
We do
notifications.
get notifications, but not for comments.
Not
get
for the,
notifications.
just comments.
Yeah,
that
we get
don't
them
change.
for
Right.
new submissions or.
Right, so that's going to change and just comments are going away. It'll be
It'll be.
communicated like just a comment, but
Okay.
it'll actually be pushing it back into the.
So they're really the
So
same
that
for the bug.
should,
Yeah.
that should go away soon.
That's good.
Yes, I'm a bit embarrassed that we need a UDS session to get forward. I apologize.
Sometimes a little face-to-face communication.
Well, it's nice to finally see the guy behind all of this stuff. Yeah.
I was here last time.
Okay.
We need to buy you at least 5 years.
Just one for each bug.
It's like Christmas for both of you.
So there's one change that did happen this cycle, and I'm not yet clear of the total impact, and that is the states, the fact that we can now push an ARB app through to, from QA pending to review pending and even
Right.
published.
Right. That was a request some time ago, and we committed a fix for that, but it was a feature flag that we had to keep disabled for a while. The idea is ARB apps. For ARB apps, the ready to publish state doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
so we're hiding that from the developer. So the thing is that we couldn't publish apps in MyApps, ARB apps in MyApps, because on generic and earlier releases, the sub center had an issue with handling apps that were coming from both a repo, like extras, and MyApps. So it would show two apps with duplicate data. So we had to keep the apps in QA pending, and that's why we've been holding back from actually publishing the apps for so long. What we've done in the end is an SRU for that, but it's not going to be approved yet because there's some doubts about what will happen with the people that don't get that update. It'll still be broken and they'll get a suboptimal experience, but they're just missing an update. So instead, what we've done is we put another feature flag. That is, we filter out all applications, all ARB applications from generic or earlier from the data that's being published in MyApps. Right? So we are able to turn on, actually publish all applications, ARB applications that should be published.
So this is the list of applications that are
Right.
currently in the published state.
So as of today, if you consider an app that is ready to publish, you publish it, right?
So this one is one that I switched over to ready to publish, but it has in fact already been published.
Right. So there's no reason to keep it back, calling it in QA pending.
But
The fact that we were holding them back, I understand, is throwing you queue stats and.
Is that you're saying that you've already?
so this
that's
so from the review page, I sent it to ready from QA pending. I sent it to ready to publish, but when I click on it, there's no way for me to say publish, so the developer has to.
Oh, right, the ready to publish, yes, that's up to the developer. So the ready to publish state, for commercial apps, it's great, because the developer can decide when it goes live and when it get withdrawn from that can be fixed through the admin, or you can contact the developer and ask them
to ask them to do it, yeah. And you said something about,
yes, there's an address on the screen.
No, just seeing the signing key and archive identifier. That's not just one of the open bugs to have to check ARB.
It's still being,
that
right.
one.
I know that there's a bug in there about it.
Yes, so what we did was remove it from the review form, so when
Yeah.
you read an app, you're not going to see a field to enter the signing key. That's
So it won't be required anymore. That's
It won't be
fine.
required, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize we're still displaying it as part of the technical details, and it doesn't make
Okay.
sense there. That's it.
That's fine.
As long as it doesn't keep bouncing back our submissions. That's
It's just
Right.
great.
No,
just the confusing. Oh, what do I fill in
Have you
here?
tried reviewing, has the app been reviewed recently?
No, not since that change went through.
Right. So if you have some in review in progress at the moment,
Did you?
when you review change.
I thought you put the SSH on.
Did I put the SSH one through? No, it's still in staging.
Okay.
I'll do that once
Right.
we've finished the vote.
If you ask for the review in progress state list, you should be able to check that at the top.
I think 3 of us have voted on that.
There you go. If you click on any of those, and then continue review. The form at the bottom should be showed now. You
So-
only ask for the comment package name, support distro series, and a version. The version is for. The version could be
I was
argued.
going to say, how relevant is the distro series there, because it's part of the changelog that you're pushing into the PPA.
Right. So the thing is,
Is it still needed by MyApps for publishing?
Right. We will include the metadata for MyApps will include the metadata for this application when it publishes metadata for apps on the distro series we'll select this. We are publishing metadata for this app through MyApps so that Software Center can get updates to the description and such fields through MyApps without waiting for an update to the package. I understand that's the rationale for even publishing anything at all and not just getting the data from Excel.
This brings up another question that
Description.
I have. So right now we have a weird hack in every ARB package where we attach the icon
And the screenshot.
as metadata to the package. Yes. It's very, very annoying. Does publishing an app through MyApps the way we can do it now, does that mean we can stop doing that?
Yes.
Okay, so the images that the developer submits to MyApps are used by software.
Which ones can we drop? Can we drop all of those?
Hang on.
That nasty,
There are four
that
fields.
nasty bit in Debian roles where we have
Icon,
this
the
weird
screenshot, as long as it's published through MyApps, isn't necessary. Right?
How about
does Debian control adding in those XP? I can't remember what that field is exactly.
so there's several bits. Here I've got one here.
Great.
So in Debian control, there's this bit stuff. Application name, icon name, screenshot URL, and category.
Right.
And that was stuff that we only had to provide for Software Center.
Category was
Category. It's basically what's in the desktop file.
Oh, right. Well, that would be fixed too.
So that would be handled by okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
And the other
simplifies things.
application name, yeah, that's in the
And Debian rules.
And Debian roles was the other one where we've had to add this bit down here. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it very well.
It's
Anyway. Where we had to add a bit to like attach the icon to as metadata to the package and so that Software Center could extract it. And even that didn't work very well because you had to actually go into the Software Center and click on it the first time so that Software Center would go and load the icon from the package metadata. And after that, it would show up in search results. Right, so we can get rid of all that now. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so basically the icon and screenshot will we get fetched from the Software Center agent from MyApp.
Would you say that the description is as well?
Description, yes, but I don't think the description is.
We would still need the description in
Yeah.
the
Description
Debian
is-
control file, but
It's just that of.
But if you update the description in MyApps, that will be immediately updated in Software Center without having to update without waiting for the update of the package.
It's just that we've got a package that Harmony Seek one where the description in Software Center is
If,
different in terms of the line breaks aren't
right.
through that clearly. It looked to be okay in the package. So I thought I was looking at the package trying to figure out if it's fetching it from MyApps there.
Is it published?
Yeah, it's I'll bring it up. Find Software Center.
Yep. And is it looking different in Software Center? Or
It's just it's all on run together in a line because it's a list of features of the application.
right.
And Software Center is taking a while. We just
Sorry.
so it's just looks like that and there. So as you can see, it's the features, etc.
Right.
But description. So I wasn't sure whether that was coming. Whether that was because of the package.
Right, that could be a difference between how MyApps and the Software Center are
Just line breaks.
escaping line breaks. and-
Okay. Should I file that as a bug?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's most likely, I mean, for the policy we have is MyApps should try to escape things like Software Center does, so
Yeah.
we don't reinvent and redefine stuff. So you should write the markup in the text field so that it looks okay in Software Center, and then file a bug in MyApps because it looks wrong.
shall we start looking at the work items? Because I mean, the discussion was really awesome, to be honest.
It's really
because
useful.
I think it would be good to make sure that we track
Yeah.
what we're discussing too.
The work items are the bug reports.
All the bug reports,
Were
right.
there any
So-
that we didn't have bug reports for
But
yet?
on our side, so I'm guessing I've got to file a bug about that now, but
And the discussion about the metadata, is that in some bug report already?
This one here? The one
Yeah,
I
the
did
last
I
one,
added?
yeah.
Well, that's not an action they need to take. That's actually an action for us.
Okay.
So I can take the action to update the ARB documentation.
Okay, cool.
No longer requiring developers to add that metadata.
Sweet.
Which is,
and I'll just file a bug about.
And then probably, I guess I need to rewrite the description of the PPA bug
Yeah.
so that it's only meant as an alternative and just a text field where they can specify, I've packaged this, here's the link to the PPA. Is that,
There's a bug for that.
yeah,
There's a bug.
but the description is
It's
a
just
bit
saying-
the
different.
bug description
Right.
has a lot more requirements in it, like
Yeah,
make,
yeah.
like force them to only do a PPA. That,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, I think
Okay, so I'm going to change this later on.
So you just write an action item for yourself.
Will do, yeah. And should we try to assign bug importances to the bugs so we can better track them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Currently we can't, but that's normal.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes left.
Well, actually, I think you already had an action item from somewhere. You said to review the bug list and
Right,
set
I'm going
priorities.
to confirm them. I think there's a couple of duplicates in there, or
There are.
bugs that will be fixed by other.
Yeah.
So I can update that by end of today, and you can come chase me.
So give them that
Awesome.
work item.
Yep.
I think one of those bugs is split out into,
Right.
one that I filed is split out into another one.
Yep.
So I'll ask before I submit a bug for it. Would it be possible to make it so that the ARB could push an app all the way to the published state? It's not high
That should
priority.
be possible, because at the moment it gets stuck in ready.
And we can
Right.
go and tell the developer, please change your app over, but there's no
Yeah.
reason for them to have to do that.
Right, so there should be just a few apps in the ready to publish state. I can fix those.
Yeah, there's only like
Or
four
you can
or
sort
five
those out.
out there.
Yeah.
Through the admin interface.
Okay.
And now that the ready to publish state is hidden for ARB apps, it should bounce straight through from pending to publish.
Okay.
Okay, so any of the new ones that we put into QA pending
Right,
status
you'll be
will go
able to-
straight through.
It'll be a-
So we won't
right.
have to do it.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Actually, good question. I mean, do you think all these bugs that we've been discussing, is it reasonable to think that they can be fixed this cycle, or we have to?
Yes. I feel like I should have been more aware of the ARB tag and the meaning it had for you. Like, I've been seeing bugs tagged with the ARB tag here and there and saying, tag, David must be following this bug. So there was,
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Well,
lots
yes.
of other things, so it's not that you
I didn't know
think
about the
there.
ARB tag until Daniel sent me a link 2 weeks ago, so.
David tagged all of
Yeah,
them.
I talked to someone on IRC, probably you, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like months ago.
so this could actually be
Fine,
a mechanism if you find you have specific pain points or bugs that you'd like us to bring to our attention, that the ARB tag can be used for that.
Can I just ask a question? Have we gone through, once again, the start to finish process and just analyzing how that's currently working and like look for new complaints recently? I know we did that.
I'm sorry. We haven't, but I mean, there's another session by the end of the week where it would be interesting to do that. It's like documentation for app developers and making sure that they know how, well, analyze the process and making sure that it's well documented. So I think that session might be a good point where we could analyze that. but yeah, it's good.
We have 3 minutes to find a good spot for the group photo.
Oh,
Better go.
Change my t-shirt.
So I forgot my-
Suspend. This
On the website, we only have 4 icon sizes.
Yes.
And none of them are scalable.
None of them. Right, so that's a big story. I mean, show them